Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. The appearance day of Lord Nityananda, the first expansion is Balaram and Krishna Lila, and it took the appearance of Lord Nityananda in Chaitanya Lila. His appearance day today, one of them, definitely the most auspicious days of the year, one of our biggest celebrations. It's very auspicious for advancement in devotional service. We make advancement with Krishna, with Lord Chaitanya, when we were recommended to him by Lord Nityananda. When Lord Nityananda is pleased with us for our sincerity in devotional service and recommends us. And Srimati Radharani recommends us also to Krishna, and therefore we're accepted. And it's often said, or stated very emphatically, that one cannot get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya without getting the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So it's crucial that we should always remember, we have to remember that Lord Nityananda, all the devotees, headed by Lord Nityananda, they want to give us their benediction and the mercy. It's not like well, maybe I'll give it to him, but not to her, to her, but not to him. So I'll read a song about Lord Nityananda in a few minutes, and they're just eager to give us, recommend us, accept us, and recommend us to Krishna. We can very easily be accepted by Krishna. Just the fact that we're here, that we're surrendered to come to the temple or stay in the temple and do some hearing and chanting or other kinds of service on behalf of, in the service of Krishna. That's a proof that we've already gotten the mercy of Lord Nityananda, because after all, there are hundreds of thousands of people in Boston, and there's only a few people here. Even at the height of it, if there was 100 or 200 people here, I don't know if it will be, but it's still very, very few people are interested or care anything about becoming a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because it means sacrificing our selfish desires and surrendering to that person, that Supreme Person, who is the Lord of everyone and everything. And material world, the definition of material life, the reason that everyone is here in the first place, they didn't want to surrender to Krishna. So those of us who are trying to surrender to Krishna again and go back to Godhead, it's very rare. It's like in a prison. If everyone in the prison is a criminal, and generally the criminals don't like the government. If you ask if some prisoner in the starts talking to the other inmates about how wonderful the government is and how we should be obedient servants of the government, they won't be very popular in prison. The other prisoners will be attacked or be against them. They don't want to surrender to the government. So we're in the position, that's our position as devotees, who's wanting to surrender again to the Supreme Personality of God, to the reformed prisoners. It's like, it's not a popular thing in the material world, especially to preach about surrendering to Krishna in the material world. It's not a popular thing. Anyway, I'm just going to start by reading some verses from the Adi Lila, chapter 1 of the Chaitanya Charitamrita about Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, and the science of devotional service. Prabhupada often referred to Krishna consciousness. He said this is a science, and generally people think of science as physics or chemistry or biology, but this is the supreme science of spirit of devotional service to God. It's the topmost knowledge. People think of religionists as emotional, sentimental people, and certainly that's Krishna. In surrendering to Krishna, there has to be emotion, devotion, but it's a science to understand the philosophy and the process of surrendering to Krishna again. I'm going to read some verses from the Adi Lila, chapter 1 of the Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Came shortly after the appearance of Lord Chaitanya, and this is an authorized shastra about Lord Chaitanya in devotional service. I'll start reading read several verses, and then I'm going to talk about one song by Bhakti one great devotee in our line of disciplic succession about Lord Nityananda and how he freely distributes love of Krishna to anyone and everyone. I'll just start reading. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual masters, the devotees of the Lord's incarnations, his plenary portions, his energies, and the primeval Lord himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Goda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. Trayodashi is in West Bengal, on the eastern side of India. I just came back from there. I was there for a few weeks, just a couple of weeks ago. And it is a wonderful place. It's the place of the appearance of Lord Chaitanya and his beginning of the Sankirtan movement. And the air there, the whole atmosphere, everything is full of Krishna consciousness. It's full of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda's mercy and benedictions. And just to be there is a great blessing. What the Upanishads describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body, Lord Chaitanya's body. And the Lord, known as the Supersoul, is but his localized plenary portion. Supersoul is Krishna in the heart of every living entity. Krishna is in your heart, my heart. Krishna is in the heart of every living entity. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full with 6 opulences. He is the absolute truth, and no other truth is greater than or equal to him. May that Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart. Resplendent with the radiance of molten gold, he has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant spiritual knowledge of the mellow taste of his service. Devotional service, Srila Prabhupada always referred to Bhakti as devotional service. And there's one memorable quote by Prabhupada, said, service is the most congenial form of intimacy. It's like when you get to know somebody, when you want to get to know somebody and become dear to them, you serve them. And we do things for them. It's like when people meet, a boy, a girl, and they want to become close, they begin to do things for each other. They give presents, they talk intimately, they serve each other in various ways. So the way to get to know Krishna is a person, a supreme person. He's the best friend of every living entity. But in order to come close to him again, we have to serve him. The first process of 9 processes of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, the first 2 processes are hearing and chanting about Krishna. So right now we're hearing and chanting about Krishna. We're serving Krishna. Just to walk to the temple or drive to the temple, take the tea to the temple, it's a holy pilgrimage. You're using your legs, your mind, your intelligence to travel to see Krishna. And that is, by definition, a holy pilgrimage. So that in itself is devotional service. Or any time you think of Krishna, or chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, specifically is emphasized, or read Chaitanya Charitamrita or Bhagavad Gita as it is, the Srimad Bhagavatam, any of the books by Srila Prabhupada, then that's devotional service. And the whole temple here is centered around devotional services. The only purpose of the temple is service to Krishna. The devotees on the altar addressing the deities, cooking for Krishna, shopping for Krishna, going out on Sankirtan for Krishna. Everything in the temple, the only purpose of the temple is devotional service to Krishna. So service is the key. You have to be a little bit humble to be a servant. If somebody asks you to do something, then in the material world, whatever it is or whoever it is, depending on the closeness of your relationship, even in a very close relationship, marriage, parents and children, whatever the relationship is, the first reaction of the conditioned soul is when somebody asks you to do something, asks us to do something, is like, well, why should I do that for you? How can you ask me? Why are you asking me to do this? To serve you. Even between in the most intimate relationships, that's the conditioned soul is, that's the definition of conditioning. Why should I serve you? The origin of that is Krishna. Why should I serve you, Krishna? So to become a servant of any relationship in this world requires a certain degree of humility. Even if you're working in an office or on some kind of job, and the boss tells you to do something, well, you know you have to do it if you want to keep that job. But even in a relationship like that, where there's no love at all, but just a sense of duty, there has to be at least some degree of submission and humbleness to accept anyone's orders. So yeah, and to surrender to Krishna, it requires great humbleness, ultimately complete surrender, complete humbleness and submissiveness to the desires of Krishna, which are expressed through his representatives in disciplic succession. Ultimately, when you accept a spiritual master, then a bona fide spiritual master in disciplic succession, then you accept the obligation and duty to, and ultimately you'll come to love him or her, and you surrender more and more willingly with devotion instead of just duty. But in the beginning, even just a sense of sort of being humble enough to surrender out of a sense of duty and obligation is a big step. And we are obligated to Prabhupada, we are obligated to the spiritual master in disciplic succession, because they're taking us out of the material world and bringing us back to home, back to Godhead. They're curing us of the disease of material life. And just like if you have some serious disease and you go to a doctor and he gives you some treatment that cures you of this very serious disease, you feel obligated to them. You feel grateful to a doctor like that, or the nurses. You feel a sense of obligation and gratitude. So that's for a material disease. But the real disease is the disease of conditioned life, of being in the material world, birth, death, disease, and old age. To make a complete solution to all the problems of life. So our ultimate responsibility is to our spiritual master, to in disciplic succession, directly from Krishna, his authorized representative. That's how the process takes place. You don't go to God directly. There's even a statement by Krishna in the Vishnu Purana that person who says he's my devotee is not my devotee, but the person who says he's the devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee. So that's the process. I'll read a few more verses. The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, they separated themselves eternally. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. Desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her pure love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love, the Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotions, appears from the womb of Srimati Sachi Devi, as the moon appears above the ocean. May Sri Nityananda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarshan, Sheshanada, and the Vishnus who lie on the Karna ocean, Garbha ocean, and ocean of milk are his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions. I surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, who is known as Sankarshan, in the midst of the Chaturvyuha, consisting of Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. He possesses full opulences and resides in Vaikuntha Loka, far beyond the material creation. Everyone knows. In every culture in the world, there's some stories, some myth, or whatever you want to call them, about a wonderful place where everyone is happy and there's no suffering, no disease. Every culture has some story like that. So the reason we have every human culture has that idea, we don't find that anywhere in the material world. People want to go to a tropic island and swim in the ocean or whatever, or go to the mountains and have a cabin in the mountains and be happy. Everyone has some idea of a wonderful place where they can be happy and enjoy. But in the material world, there's no such place. There's always so many difficulties, and there's birth, death, disease, and old age, ultimately. And no one can be happy anywhere in the material world. It's not possible. But we have an idea. There's a place where I can go, where there's eternal happiness for everyone. I don't get old, I don't die, I don't have any disease. We have those ideas because it's reality. The spiritual world, we come from the spiritual world. Our original home is in Vaikuntha, it's in Vrindavan with Krishna. So to have those ideas is completely natural for the living entity. But we don't find that here. But it's existing, just like I came from, I just came from Mayapur, where whatever country, like if you've been to Greece or Russia or China or South America, you can, wherever, you can imagine, you know that if I just go back there, it's not like it's not going on now, but it'll go on when I get there. You know that it's going on right now. You can have a family in a foreign country. And you know that if I go to New York or wherever you go, it's going on. All you have to do is go there and join in. And so Krishna Sabha is reality, it's eternal reality. And all we have to do is go there and join Krishna in his eternal pastimes there. It's going on whether we're there or not. But we can go there. We can go back to home, back to God. I offer my full obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, a partial part of whom is Garbhodaksha Vishnu. From the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu sprouts the lotus, that is the birthplace of Brahma, the engineer of the universe. The stem of that lotus is the resting place of the multitude of planets. There's not only a multitude of planets, as we know from this universe, there's billions of planets, but there's billions of universes like this one, material universes. But outside, far beyond all these material universes that are all places of suffering, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, from the highest planet, Brahmaloka, in the material world, to the lowest planet, all are places of misery where the repeated birth and death take place. So far beyond these material universes is Krishna Loka. And it's not hard to go there. We're all welcome there. We just have to show our desire to go there. We have to show that we're sincere. It's just like if you had some boyfriend or girlfriend, husband or wife, and you left them, you said, I don't like you anymore. I don't want to be with you anymore. I'm leaving. Goodbye. But later you thought about it and you thought, oh, I'd really like to go back to that person. And you tell them, can come back and we resume our relationship. Well, they might think it's all right. They might want you back, but you would test them to see if they mean it. You wouldn't just say, okay, come on back. You would say, oh, okay, that's a good idea, but you really have to prove to me that you really want me again. So that's our position as aspiring devotees. That we have to show Krishna by our determination, our devotion, our sincerity, that we really want him and that we're willing to surrender. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the feet of Sri Nityananda, whose secondary part is the Vishnu lying in the ocean of milk. That Shirodakshaya Vishnu is the super soul of all living entities and the maintainer of all the universes. Sheshanaga is his further subpart. Lord Advaita Acharya is the incarnation of Mahavishnu, whose main function is to create the cosmic world through the actions of Maya. Maya means illusion. Illusion, the essence of illusion is the first is that we're independent of God. Maybe there's a God, maybe not. Who knows? Or some people say, I don't believe there isn't a God. Some people say God is dead. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world to think or say, but that's the first feature of the material illusion or Maya, is to allow us to think that no, there's no God, or even if there is God, I don't care. What does God have to do with me? I'm independent. So that's the first feature of Maya. And along with that is giving the illusion that it's like you see on stage sometimes there's a magician, hypnotist, and they call him a volunteer from the audience and they hypnotize him and they say, okay, now you're a chicken, behave like a chicken, and now you're a dog. And whether it's real or not, there's some very talented hypnotists, but whether it's a real thing or not, that it's an illusion. You don't become a dog just because somebody tells you you're a dog. But that's the illusion of Maya, is that we're the pure spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. We have nothing to do with this body. This body is a lump of blood and guts and bones and skin. They have nothing to do with this body, but we're completely separate from the body. But Maya makes us think that you're the body. Yes, you're the body. Now you're a pig. Now you're a human being. Now you're a mosquito. Now you're a whale. So whatever body you're put into, one after another, this isn't our first body. We've had millions of births before this one in all different species of life. Sometimes you're an ant, sometimes you're a demigod, or a human being, or whatever. But whatever body you're put into, you identify fully with that body. When you're in the body of a dog, you think, I'm a dog, and you act like a dog. When you're in the body of a human being, you think, I'm Mary Jones from New York, and that's who I am, and I am this body. But it's all illusion. None of it is real. The reality is that we're a pure spirit soul, eternally, part and parcel of Krishna. And any idea that we're separate from God, that we are the body, that we belong here, that this is our home, that's Maya. That's the trick of Maya. And Maya is such a such a perfect magician or hypnotist that no one can understand what's happening. There's not, you don't wake up, you're fully convinced. You know that you're this body. It's not right, it's a wrong knowledge, but you know that you're the body. That's the total power, overwhelming power of the material nature. And we're all subject to it. Every one of us is subject to that illusion. I say, I've been studying this for 50 years now, and I've heard you're not that body for 50 years. I'm convinced that that's a fact. That's reality. I know it's philosophically absolutely true. But still, when I go out on a cold winter day, I think I'm cold. I'm not cold. I'm pure spirit soul. But because the illusion that I'm the body is so strong, I think I'm cold. I'm not cold. I accept that feeling of cold as me, as part of me. So in the beginning, we have to have knowledge. Krishna preached to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra in the Bhagavad Gita as it is. The first thing he instructed Arjuna is that while speaking learned words, you're lamenting for that which is not worthy of grief, namely the bodies of your relatives and friends and all the soldiers who are present here. They're not their body, you're not your body, but you're thinking in terms of the body. So and he explains in many verses how you're not the body. And one verse that he says to Arjuna is just as the embodied soul, just as you put on different clothes every day, or when some of your clothes are worn out or torn. Of course, nowadays you buy clothes that are torn, but just generally, if something's old and worn out, you get rid of it and you get some other clothes. Or every day you put on different clothes. So the body is exactly like that. You put on one body after another, and you take them off. At the time of death, you take many new bodies. We take many new bodies throughout this life. All of everyone here is an adult. Appreciate it if you don't do your phones during the lecture. If you go to college, you can do anything in college now. Stick your feet up on the desk and do anything, play with your phone. But this is a more formal setting. This is a talk on the absolute truth. And so, you take off one body and put on another body, one after another, just like a suit of clothes. It's very important to know that philosophical knowledge is crucial. Even in the material world, you can go, you go to some class, you learn some subject, and or as a child is growing up, we learn so many things from our parents or from life experience, and they help us to deal with the world, at least on the material platform. And you're like, oh, I didn't know that. Maybe I shouldn't whatever, do this thing that I thought was okay. But now I know it's not okay. It's not good. I can't do that. So you may still have some, or you may have some habit that's self-destructive, and without even knowing it, you do so many things that aren't good for us. So if a doctor or somebody tells you that, well, you shouldn't do that, it's destroying your body, or it's not good for you. And you say, well, thank you for telling me that. I didn't know that. So in the beginning, of course, you may still have some desire to do those things, but at least you have the knowledge now, which is crucial. So in our life, we first have to know. That's why Prabhupada wrote so many books, and he emphasized the study of his books so heavily, because we need knowledge. We need to know that, like if you had told me when I was 17, that, or any age up until 18, when I started reading the Bhagavad Gita as it is, if you had told me that you're not the body, I would say, well, that's an interesting thought. But what does it have? Is that something I could think about? But when you hear it in disciplic succession from a pure devotee, and you hear that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you've forgotten him through neglect or rebelliousness, you can go back home, back to Godhead, you're not that body. And then everything that Krishna Prabhupada explains in the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad, all his books, then that is such a crucial step. And from just to know these basic factors, we don't have hardly any realization of them in the beginning. But the fact that if we can hear the facts of life, the real facts of life, in disciplic succession, and we are submissive enough to give them a serious consideration and ultimately accept them as the absolute truth, then that's a huge step. And then we can act on that knowledge, and we can start chanting Hare Krishna. We start going to the temple. We start reading the Bhagavad Gita as it is. We start all the aspects of devotional service. We start taking prasadam. We start avoiding sinful activities, or renouncing the concept that I am independent from Krishna. I'm a servant of Krishna. So knowledge is crucial, and then we can act on that knowledge when we become convinced. So it's very important. It's not only very important, it's absolutely necessary to read Prabhupada's books. And it's not just a matter of hearing it and accepting it with our intelligence, although that will be there, but it's like everything in Krishna consciousness. It's magical. It's miraculous. The transformation that we undergo just by the beginning the process of devotional service, and then it just builds and builds and builds. It's an infinite, eternal process of understanding Krishna more, understanding our relationship with Krishna more and more. It's not that, and surrendering to Krishna more and more. There's not a point that we get to where it's like, okay, well, I know enough about Krishna. I've surrendered enough to Krishna. I'm pretty surrendered, and I've learned a lot about Krishna. It's never like that. Even Krishna, Prabhupada explains that even Krishna doesn't know himself completely, which is a pretty amazing concept that generally any religionist would say, well, how can you say that God doesn't know himself? But that's a bona fide statement. But by Prabhupada, it's like in this statement, Krishna wanted to experience the love and the feelings that Radharani experiences for him. So it's, well, you're God, don't you know what she's feeling for you? And the Prabhupada explained that in his role as Krishna, interacting with Radharani, he can't feel what she's feeling. So he takes the form of Lord Chaitanya with Krishna, but in the mood of Radharani, and with her bodily color and effulgence, or another name for Lord Chaitanya is Gauranga. Anga is limbs and her body, and Gora is golden, so his golden complexion. He takes taking the mood and the bodily luster of Srimati Radharani. So, but if Krishna can't know himself fully, we certainly can't know Krishna fully, but we can know Krishna to a large extent. It's just like when you were a baby, you couldn't know, or even a teenager or a grown-up child, you can't know everything about your mother and father. You know them very well because they took care of you, and they were your mother and father for your whole life. And generally, the mother and father are very kind and loving to their children, generally. And but as a baby, you can't know your mother and father. You don't know your father when he goes to work, or your mother when she's paying the bills, or all you know is that she's my mother. She feeds me when I'm hungry. When I cry, she comes. My father takes me out and plays with me. And that's all you know. You don't know everything about them, but you don't have to. You know enough. You're their darling child, and that's enough for you. So we can't know Krishna fully. We can't know hardly anything about Krishna, but we can know enough that we're fully satisfied, completely satisfied, 100% satisfied in our relationship with Krishna. But so it's like that. We learn so much about Krishna by reading Prabhupada's books, and the more we read, it's alive. It's not just that you get your chemistry book or your computer book or whatever, and you read it, and you get, okay, I got that knowledge in my head now. So, of course, that's there in the Shastras too, but it's beyond that, because the Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of Krishna. It's God in book form. So you can, devotees read the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, over and over again for their whole life, and they get more and more appreciation and understanding and realization and love for them as the time goes on and eternally. Because the book about Krishna is Krishna in a book form. So when the atheist will say, well, it's just words on a page, it's just ink on a page, or it's just data on a computer screen. It's not God, but it's a book. And yes, it's a book, but it's much more than a mundane book. And it's directly Krishna himself. I'm just going to read now. Time goes quick. I'm just going to read one song by Bhakti Thakur about Lord Nityananda, the marketplace of the holy name, or it's called the broker. And Lord Nityananda, he opens the marketplace of the holy name. But it's the price that you pay for go to any marketplace is a price on everything. So the price on getting the mercy of Lord Nityananda, getting the holy name of Krishna is not money. It's I am singing news of great happy tidings. Lord Nityananda himself has opened a marketplace of the holy name in Surabhi Kunj. The news of its great results is that he is selling the pure holy name in that marketplace for the price of only one's faith. The price for Krishna consciousness is faith. Just to come here requires some faith. You understand, we understand in our hearts, in our minds, our intelligence, that there's something good here going on. There's something wonderful there that I don't find anywhere else in my experience. I know when I was 18, I saw the devotees out at Copley Square in a big Harinam Sankirtan on a Saturday night. Went to a movie, there was a movie complex in the Prudential Center, and I went with a girl from high school. It was a Saturday night in the summer. We came out of the movie and we heard the mridanga and the kartals, and we said, hey, let's go see what that noise is, that sound is. And we went across the street to where that Apple store is now, and there was a big Harinam there, like 30 or 40 devotees from the old temple a few miles from here on North Pekin Street. And they were all young and fired up and enthusiastic, jumping up and down and chanting Hare Krishna, playing mridangas and kartals. And I was like, what is this? I knew this has to be something religious. This has to be about God. Instinctively, you can understand that. But it was like, what is this? I don't understand. So that's why we're here. We're here because we found something that's completely out of this world as we knew it before, something unique and wonderful. And so with that little faith, we start to associate with devotees, we start to chant Hare Krishna. Only a little bit of faith, or even just curiosity or openness to find out, and just a little bit of faith, and then we come and start to associate, and that faith will grow and grow and grow. So he's selling the holy name in that marketplace for the price of only one's faith. Lord Nityananda, the proprietor of the market, seeing all the devotees becoming attracted, is selling them the holy name after bargaining with them. Oh brother, if you want to buy the holy name, then go with me. We must go to the presence of that great soul, Nityananda. You will buy the holy name of Krishna. I will take my commission, and all our desires will be fulfilled. Commission is that I brought somebody to you, Lord Nityananda, and it's like here, if you sell a house, you get a commission for it with money. But if you bring someone to Krishna consciousness and the holy name, Lord Nityananda, then you get the commission for that. The commission is more devotional service, more faith yourself. You will buy the holy name of Krishna, I will take my commission, and all our desires will be fulfilled. Everyone wants their desires to be fulfilled. Our desires aren't fulfilled in this material world. But all our desires can be fulfilled infinitely, eternally. Lord Nityananda is greatly merciful. Taking only one's faith, he gives the highest ecstasy. A pill called ecstasy, people take it, they feel good for a couple of hours, then they come down and they're back to what they were or worse. or they take any kind of drug. Everybody's looking for some taste that they're not finding in the material world. And we don't find it, or we find a little bit of taste for a couple of hours or a week or a month. But then there's always a down. And but in Krishna consciousness, Lord Nityananda gives the highest ecstasy, and it's eternal. If Nitai sees only once tears in the eyes while chanting the name Gaura, Lord Chaitanya, and he gives all resources to that person. He gives the pure teachings of Krishna to everyone. He does not care for one's birth, wealth, knowledge, and strength. There's no material qualification or disqualification for taking to Krishna consciousness. You have money, you don't have money. You're beautiful, you're not beautiful. You're intelligent, you're not intelligent. You're this, you're not that. But there's no qualification, material qualification or disqualification. The greatest sinner will become a pure devotee by chanting Hare Krishna. It doesn't matter how bad that person is. It doesn't matter how good that person is. The goodness is not a qualification, although it can help, but it can be a little bit of a help. But it's not a real qualification. The only real qualification is just that little bit of faith. Now, giving up the illusory snare of Maya, either remain in household life or in the forest as a sannyasi, for no more troubles remain. I remember one of the first times that I went to the temple when I was young, and one of the devotees was reading from a lecture from Prabhupada from the Back to Godhead magazine. And one of the things that Prabhupada said in that, I never forgot it. It struck me so much, and I never forgot it. He said, the devotee thinks that, why should I worry about anything? And what? Why should I worry about anything? I'm worried about anything. And why should I worry about anything? But it's just like a baby with his parents. A baby, as long as he's with his parents or a little kid, he doesn't worry about anything. I'm with my mother and father, they're taking care of me. I don't have to worry about anything. And so it's like that, only to the infinite degree, the unlimited degree, with Krishna, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Protector. Why should I worry about anything? Whether you're a householder, whether you're a renounced person, doesn't matter. Just take to Krishna consciousness and no more troubles remain. Of course, we still have the material body. The body will get old, the body will get sick, the body will die, but that's just the body. And we'll still have mental anxieties for some time until we completely take shelter of Krishna, Guru and Krishna, and then no more troubles remain. No more troubles remain even in the beginning, but we don't have much realization of that now. We're still very in trouble, at least condition, present state of mind. There is no more fear of the age of Kali. The merciful Nityananda gives the holy name to even the Chandalas. So there's no more fear of the four factors of material life: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Those are the four basic animal propensities which are shared by all human beings. Without this material life that we're familiar with, is based almost 100% on eating, sleeping, mating and defending. Defending comes from, is actually by our fearfulness. We defend ourselves because we're afraid. So fearfulness is always with us in the material world. It's the most prevalent feature in the material world. It's fear. But there is no more fear of the age of Kali, because the merciful Nityananda gives us the holy name to anyone indiscriminately. There's no discrimination. There's no fit or unfit candidate for preaching, taking to Krishna consciousness. And there's no more fear. Can you imagine? Can I imagine not being afraid? And we're so used to living in fear all the time. Even in your own home. If the house can catch on fire, a plane can fall into your house, anything, even in your own home. What to speak when you go out on the street, you're afraid of every car that goes by, there's fear. So we can't imagine living without fear because we're so used to it. So there's no more fear. Bhaktivinoda calls out, except for the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, there is no other shelter. It's time for Artik now and stop it. All glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Srila.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Viti Namane. Saraswati Devam Gaura Kone Prasadini Niviteka Kunja Padi Pachakya Dekakari. Jaya Jaya Gora Sande Shivaya Pura Sande Arati Kusoba Jana Vichata Bani Jagamana Loba Jana Vichata Bani Jagamana Loba Jaga Jana Mano Loba Jaga Jana Mano Loba Orande Arati Kosoba Jaga Jana Mano Loba Orande Arati Kosoba Jaga Jana Mano Loba Jaga Jana Mana Loba Haribo 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 Nityananda Haribo 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 Gaura Haribo Dakini Tachao Bamega Dadara Dakini Tachao Bamega Dadara Vikate Advaita Swini Bhakta Chatradara Vikate Advaita Swini Bhakta Chatradara Bhakti Jate Goracham Prana Srim Basani Bhakti Jate Goracham Basani Arati Korena Brahma Ati Vedagane Arati Korena Brahma Ati Vedagane Kori Chamara Dulaya Nara Hari Adi Kori Chamara Dulaya Anja Jamu Kunda Basu Go Adigaya Anja Jamu Kunda Basu Go Adigaya Gangta baje gangta baje baje karatala Sangka baje gangta baje baje karatala Adhuryamrindanga baje Paramarasala Adhuryamrindanga baje Paramarasala Anta baje, anta baje, Madhurya Mridanga baje. Sangka baje, Madhurya Mridanga baje. Mridanga baje. Madhu baje. Bahu koche strandrajini padana wala Bahu koche strandrajini padana wala Dese mala goela mala Tala dese vana mala ore hala mala Kiva sukanarata primigo dotora Kiva sukanarata primiga dadara Vinoda deke Urara Sampada Vinoda deke Urara Sampada Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhatta Brenda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Bolo Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhatta Brenda Nityananda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhatta Brenda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhatta Brenda Jaya Gaura Bhatta Brenda Jaya Gaura Bhatta Brenda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Solo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Rajan Nama Krishna, Jatabajan Namaha. Hari Rajan Nama Krishna, Jatabaja, Muktavandya, Kesabajan Namaha. Jaya Muktavandya, Kesabajan Namaha. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madhusudana. Hey, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madhusudana. Girivari Gopinata, Madana Moha. Girivari Gopinata, Madana Moha. Chaitanya Nityananda, Trayodashi. Chaitanya Nityananda, Trayodashi. Hare Guru Vaishnava, Bhagavata Gita. Jaya Hare Guru Vaishnava, Bhagavata Gita. Jaya Rirupi Tanatang Pataraguna. Jaya Rirupi Tanatang Pataraguna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Vishnu, Bhavan, Musa, Paribraya, Vishara, Tatra, Sushima, Subhaya, Bacha, Mindavati, Anta Swami, Sila Prabhupada, Ananta Koti Basha, Rina Gija, Amacharya, Haridata, Kulki, Prince of Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Gaboita, Gopro, Gija, Sisira, Krishna, Gopi, Gopinasha, Makun, Ratuna, Giri, Gunaki, Brindambanki, Mathura, Dvakadanki, Jamuna Danki, Tulsi Maharani Gija, Sila Prabhupada Gija, Nityananda Gija, Samavela Brinda Gija, Nitai Gaura Parmanadi Hari. Oh, glorious Son of the body. Oh, glorious Son of the body. Oh, glorious Son of the body. Namaste Narasrinhaya. Namaste Narasrinhaya. Prabharadaya. Hiranyakashipur Basha. Vyasila Tankana Kalaye. Ito nisringho, parato nisringho. Wait, jato, nitato nisringho. Ibayen nisringho, ritayen nisringho. Nisringhana bring saran prabhati. Buddha Sringam Kalika Tiranya Kashipu Tano Brindam Shabadeka Alahari Jupa Jaya Jagati Sahare Jaya Jagati Sahare Jaya Jagati Sahare. Jaya Jagati Kavala Bare Maka Buddha Singam Kalika Tiranya Kashipu Tano Brindam Shabadeka Alahari Jupa Jaya Jagati Sahare Jaya Jagati Sahare Jaya Jagati Hare Jaya Nisringhate Majaya Nisringhate Jaya Nisringhate Majaya Nisringhate Yo Pralamahara Jai Pralamahara Jaya Pralamahara Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Solo Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hariva Gaura Hariva Sringhavadavangi Pralamahara Nitai Gaura Hariva.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna. Everybody loudly. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Namaste, Saraswati Devi. Namayo Krishna Padaya Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Navadini Vachakari Satarini. Jaya Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Everybody loudly. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Nitai, hello. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Ram Sankirtan ki, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody. Hare Krishna. Loudly. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, बोलो भाई। Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Sankirtan ki jai. मैं गाएंगे मैं ना गला दुख इसलिए मैं बुला
Hare Krishna devotees, I kindly request that only one kartal and one mridang, please. Thank you. Jaya Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram. Sing louder, much louder. Jaya Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram. Nittai, 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 Gauranga. Nittai, 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 Gauranga. Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram. Jaya Eka Chakra Dham, Jaya Eka Chakra Dham. Nittai, 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 Gauranga. Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Much louder. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Jaya Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram. Jaya Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram. Nitai, 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 Gauranga. Nitai, 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 Gauranga. Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. Nityananda, 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 Nityananda. Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha, Gopi Vallabh Radha, Gopi Vallabh Radha. Jaya Radha, Gopi Vallabh Radha, Gopi Vallabh Radha. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Nitai, 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 Gauranga. 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की श्री नित्यानंद त्रयोदशी महामहोत्सव की समवेत भक्त वृंद की श्रील प्रभुपाद की निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे अतीत पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की समवेत भक्त वृंद की Hare Krishna, oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, oh Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, oh Hare Krishna, Hare, oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, oh Hare Rama, Hare Rama, oh Rama Rama, Hare Hare, oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Shiva. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, oh Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time. Oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, oh Hare Hare, oh Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Hare, oh Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, oh Hare Hare, oh Hare Krishna, oh Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, oh Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, oh Nitai Gauranga Bolo, Nitai Gauranga Bolo, Nitai Gauranga, oh Nitai Gauranga Bolo, oh Nitai Gauranga Bolo, Gaura Hari, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nityananda Trayodashi ki jai. Go to bring Nanda Hari Hari Go.
Jayam Vikrupachar Mahaprabhu. Nityananda Ram Jaya. Nityananda Ram Jaya. Nityananda Jaya Nityananda Ram Jaya Nityananda Ram Jaya Nityananda Ram Jaya Nityananda Ram. Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram. Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram. Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram.
Shri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu, Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadha, Shiratri, Gaur, Bhakti, Ki Jai, Thakur Swami Ki Jai, Harinamacharya, Divine Grace, Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Nityananda Sadosi Ki Jai, Jayam Shindala Harada, Krishna Govinda, Govinda Swara Buddha, Ki Jai, Vrindavan Ki Jai, Mayapur Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Krishna Dikshadam Ki Jai. All glory to Temple devotees. All glory to Temple devotees. All glory to Temple devotees. All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga.
you know the lyrics? You want to sing that? No, you sing. You sing. Nadia, Nadia, go to Nityananda, Patiya ke namah Jivana Kora. Go to Nityananda Mahajan, ke namah Jivana Kora. Nadia go to Nityananda Mahajan, Patiya ke namah Jivana Kora. शादवान जान है शादवान जान है शादवान जान है शादवान जान है पातिया के नाम हत जीवरा करा नादिया गोत्र में नित्यानंद महाजान पातिया के नाम हत जीवरा करा नित्यानंद महाजान पातिया पूरा गाय भाई मागिए दीक्षा पूरा गाय भाई मागिए दीक्षा बोलो कृष्णा बाजो कृष्णा घोर कृष्णा शिक्षा बोलो कृष्णा बाजो कृष्णा घोर कृष्णा शिक्षा नादिया नादिया गोत्र में नित्यानंद महाजन पातिया के नाम हत जीवना कोरा गोत्र में नित्यानंद महाजन पातिया के नाम अपरा शून्य होय लोह कृष्ण नाम अपरा शून्य होय लोह कृष्ण नाम कृष्ण माता कृष्ण पिता कृष्ण धन प्राण कृष्ण माता कृष्ण पिता कृष्ण धन प्राण नादिया नादिया गोत्र में नित्यानंद महाजान पातिया के नाम हत जीवरा कोरा पातिया के नाम हत जीवरा कोरा नादिया नादिया गोत्र में नित्यानंद महाजान पातिया के नाम हत जीवरा कोरा तेरा संसार करो छाड़िया नचार तेरा संसार करो छाड़िया नचार जीवे दोया कृष्ण नाम सर्वधर्म सार जीवे दोया कृष्ण नाम सर्वधर्म सार नादिया नादिया गोत्र में नित्यानंद महाजन पातिया के नाम हत जीवना कोरा नादिया नादिया गोत्र में नित्यानंद महाजन पातिया के नाम हत जीवना कोरा Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, oh Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, oh Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, oh Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Gopi Radha, Gopi Radha, Radha Gopi Radha, Gopi Radha, Jaya Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Jaya 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 Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram, Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra, Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. श्री नित्यानंद त्रयोदशी महामहोत्सव की जय, श्री गौरताय की जय, श्री राधा गोपी वल्लभ देव की जय, जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय, सद्गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, जय गोपी नंदन। हरे हरे हरि हरि बोल। Vanamali bro, any concluding remarks? Hare Krishna. Thank you for all devotees for joining.